We are recording.
37 chapters in, we finally have what is generally called in storytelling the all is lost moment.
But Dorkus, wasn't Kelsia dying the all is lost moment?
No, Lady Strawman. This is the all is lost chapter because this is the chapter in which I lost faith that we'd ever get a Vin spook romance. Terrible chapter. Flip table. Subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Dorkus? Dorkus? Well, I guess I'm doing this one on my own. Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKitteh. Kitty and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 27.
Chapter 37.
Oh god, did I say 20? Sorry. Imagine if we went that back. Okay, sorry. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 37.
Chapter 37! This was quite a chapter.
Yes.
I have cooked a very nice meal for myself. I have it here in front of me on a plate.
Mm-hmm.
I am eating crow.
Mm.
It's not very delicious. Last chapter, I was so confident when I said, we're not going to, as much as I want a Doxon Elend scene, we're going to get an Elend Sazed scene. I was so wrong. Joyously so. I will happily eat this crow. And I'm pretty sure I've said in the past, we're probably not going to get a Doxon POV either. We get a Doxon POV.
Indeed. And it was a great one. It was great to be in his POV. It was so valuable.
He thinks exactly like I thought he would think.
Yeah, exactly.
So exciting. I suspect I need to adjust some theories. I think we commented repeatedly on how Vin does not realize or does not think that the Lord Ruler is using feruchemy in the last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect now, after this chapter, that feruchemy will be the Lord Ruler's undoing, and Sanderson wanted this chapter to have Vin connect those neurons, because she says she's figured something out, but she doesn't tell us what.
Which really was like, okay, I want to know what you're thinking, but I loved it. I loved that that's how we ended it. Yeah.
Yes, I was frustrated in the best possible sense of the word at that cliffhanger of a chapter.
And it makes sense as well. It just makes sense that those neurons would connect now because of what happens in this chapter.
Yes. So if you couldn't tell, I was joking earlier. I enjoyed this chapter tremendously. How about you, Kitteh? I
did indeed too. What's new? Really? Yeah. Can't believe how close we are to the end. But
so close.
Yeah, I had some great yay moments and some oh no moments. There are some really, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Now, is there anything more beautiful than the sun? I often watch it rise, for my restless sleep usually awakens me before dawn. Each time I see its calm yellow light peeking above the horizon, I grow a little more determined, a little more hopeful. In a way, it is the thing that has kept me going all this time.
So the sun. I underlined this last line. In a way, it is the thing that has kept me going all this time. Because it coincides with what is kind of going on in the chapter.
Yes. I didn't underline, but if I were going to underline, I would have underlined calm yellow light peeking above the horizon, because you compare that to the light of the torches in the mist and how that was highlighted.
Yeah. It's like the sun. Yeah, exactly. The sun that Kelsey was talking about, because they don't even know what the sun, they've never experienced yellow sun. Wow.
Yep.
And it makes me also go, just another thought is just, yeah, Lord Ruler, now we don't have that sun. What happened to that Lord Ruler?
Yeah. Uncool.
There you go.
And there is just such a tragicness to this epigraph. Yeah.
We don't have it. Yeah.
Okay. Kelsier, you cursed lunatic, Doxon thought, scribbling notes on the table map. Why do you always just saunter away, leaving me to handle your messes? However, he knew his frustration wasn't real. It was simply a way of keeping himself from focusing on Kel's death. It worked. Kelsier's part in the plan, the vision, the charismatic leadership was finished. Now it was Doxon's turn. He took Kelsier's original strategy and modified it. He was careful to keep the chaos at a manageable level, rationing the best equipment to the men who seemed the most stable. He sent contingents to capture points of interest, food and water deposits, before general rioting could steal them. So, already I'm excited for a Doxon chapter.
Yeah, you're enjoying being in his mind.
Yes, and right off the bat, you get this wonderful, well, not to overuse the word tragic, but this, he's talking to Kelsier in his mind, and he's doing it to keep himself from that grieving. It's so, he needs a hug, you know?
Yeah, don't hug him because you'll start crying. But no, he won't cry. But I know what you mean. I love his also his emotional awareness. He's like, I know I'm doing this to avoid the grief. Cool, I'm avoiding the grief.
But also the city's burning, so it's like whatever it takes.
Yeah, and he's in. This is where he seems to thrive anyway. Look at him go.
And there's just something so quintessentially Doxon about now it was Doxon's turn. He took Kelsier's original strategy and modified it. He was careful to keep the chaos at a manageable level. That is Doxon distilled. That everything I've loved about him in this book so far. So I'm happy with it.
I highlighted that. Well, highlighted. Don't worry, I'm not using highlighters in my books. It's pencil. I underlined, modified it because I'm like, yeah, of course he would. Like, yes, Kelsier, thanks for your input, but that's Doxon as well. He's gonna optimize. Don't worry. That's another thing that I enjoyed about this is that it's not just like, oh, fine, I'm gonna do what Kelsier says. Like, no. Kelsier's mind does not work like mine. I will modify it. Like, thanks for the basis. Awesome, let's get going.
Yep. In short, he did what he always did. He made Kelsier's dreams become reality. A disturbance came from the front of the room, and Doxon looked up as a messenger rushed in. The man immediately sought out Doxon at the center of the warehouse. What news? Doxon asked as the man approached. The messenger shook his head. He was a young man in an imperial uniform, though he had removed the jacket to make himself look less obtrusive. I'm sorry, sir. None of the guards have seen her come out, and, well, one claimed he saw her being carried toward the palace dungeons. Can you get her out? The soldier, Goradel, paled. Until a short time before, Goradel had been one of the Lord Ruler's own men. In truth, Doxon wasn't certain how much he trusted the man, yet the soldier, as a former palace guardsman, could get into places that other Ska could not. His former allies didn't know he'd switched sides. I was very happy to see immediate payoff from what Vin did at the start of last chapter.
Yeah, you could tell. You're like, oh, okay, yep. Even if it wasn't like the exact guy, which it is, spoiler, the exact guy that she had convinced, I was satisfied with the thing of, yes, people would turn, Ska would turn, because it's just so much easier. They've never seen something like this happen before. And they would turn. But now this is even better payoff because they have this infiltrator guy that has access. So it really is, it's beautiful payoff.
Yeah. Assuming he really has switched sides, Doxon thought. But, well, things were moving too quickly now for self-doubt. Doxon had decided to use this man. He'd have to trust his initial instincts. Well? Gorodel shook his head again. There was an inquisitor holding her captive, sir. I couldn't free her. I wouldn't have the authority. Doxon sighed. Damn fool girl, he thought. She should have better sense than this. Kelsier must have rubbed off on her. He waved the soldier away, then looked up as Hammond walked in, a large sword with a broken hilt resting on his shoulder. And then I just thought of, Berserker or something. It's done. Keep Lariel just fell. Looks like Lacal is still holding, however. And then you hear Lacal, and it's like, well, of course, because the noblemen teamed up. Again, immediate payoff.
Yes, exactly. You're like, we know why that happened. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Efficient. And...
neat.
Yes. We'll need your men at the palace soon. The sooner we break in there, the better chance we have of saving Vin. However, his instincts told him that they'd be too late to help her. The main forces would take hours to gather and organize. He wanted to attack the palace with all of their armies in tandem. Brilliant. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way. What's the use of having all those armies? Yep. Otherwise. Yeah.
The truth was that he couldn't afford to spare men on a rescue operation at the moment. Kelsier would probably have gone after her, but Doxon wouldn't let himself do something that brash. As he always said, someone on the crew needed to be realistic. The palace was not a place to attack without substantial preparation. Vin's failure proved that much. She'd simply have to look after herself for the moment.
Right, so were you... I put a tick there. He can't. Somebody has to keep things going. The city is burning. So, that sort of thing. They have to, and I say the city is burning as in, there's torches and who knows, there's lots of chaos to manage. Somebody's got to manage it. And as much as I love Vin, of course, and yes, I would have, if Kelsier was around, I would have expected him to go to, if Kelsier had this reasoning, I would not be happy with him. But this is very Doxon. It's very, no, somebody's got to keep it together because we can't just go after individuals when this is a group, not just a group effort, it's for the group. So, yeah.
100%. It's a really tough and uncomfortable situation. And Doxon isn't Kelsier. Doxon is not a Mistborn. He can't do what Kelsier would be able to do in that situation. And it's important to notice, I think there are 3 or 4 examples of opportunities of this specific moral question about whether or not to go after someone in this chapter alone.
Yeah, there is. And it's a great juxtaposition because you've got Doxon over here. He's got the weight of everything. Okay, he's got the scar on and everything. And yes, Kelsier would be in the position to go after her because he is the Mistborn. He can go around doing Mistborning things. But he would have had to have left Doxon behind in any case. Doxon can't go running off and has never been the guy that goes and runs off to... He just organizes. He makes sure that the pieces are together. So that's what we meant by just enjoying being in Doxon's brain. It all makes... And it's not like he's comfortable with it. It's not like he's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. He is worried about Vin. He is definitely worried about her. And you see through the outcome of this chapter that he's willing to let certain things go so that Vin can maybe have a chance. But that's only because he made a calculated decision.
Yes. Pragmatic.
Pragmatic, yeah. And then we have a great juxtaposition in a different situation coming up. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. We'll try and call them out as they happen. I'll get my men ready. I'm gonna need a new sword, though. You thugs, always breaking things. Go see what you can find, then. Ham moved off. If you see Sazed, tell him that... He trailed off, his attention drawn by a group of Ska rebels who marched into the room, pulling a bound prisoner with a cloth sack on his head. I knew right away who it was. Yes. Yeah?
At this point, I went, yay! I was like, he's alive! I was like, yay! Yes! I knew exactly who it was as well, but I was like, it made sense that he had a bag over his head and whatever. I'm happy that the Ska went just like, for sure, my lord, and let him in. Yeah. I enjoy that. Also, just a little spark the second time I read this chapter. I really appreciated Doxon's just, if you see Sazed, I appreciated that little, like, where is Sazed? Little nod to that.
Yes.
Anyway.
Excellent.
But that was on the second
comment
read
there.
through, obviously.
Yeah. What is this? One of the rebels elbowed his captive. I think he's someone important, my lord. Came to us unarmed, asked to be brought to you, promised us gold if we did it. Doxon raised an eyebrow. The grunt pulled off the hood, revealing Elend Venture. So, it's Elend. Does this mean that Doxon is de facto leader? He's the one organizing everything. Is he officially, non-officially, officially the one in charge now?
Yeah, I think so. I think he is the key. He's got to give the most orders at this point. Obviously, Ham is like, hey, I'm getting my guys ready, and Ham is also in charge. He's in charge of his area, which is the fighting.
Ham is a leader, but he defers to Doxon's organization, and it sounds like it's the same for the others. Doxon is the one moving the pieces around.
He's the strategist, yeah. He is in charge of all the moving pieces. He decides who's going after who and all of that.
So, cool. President Doxon. I like it.
Yeah. He's very pragmatic.
Doxon blinked in surprise. Yeah? Elend looked around. He was apprehensive, obviously, but held himself well, all things considered. Have we met? Not exactly. Blast, I don't have time for captives right now. Still, the son of the Ventures, Doxon was going to need leverage with the powerful nobility when the fighting was over. I've come to offer you a truce. Excuse me? House Venture will not resist you, and I can probably talk the rest of the nobility into listening as well. They're frightened. There's no need to slaughter them. Doxon snorted. I can't exactly leave hostile armed forces in the city. If you destroy the nobility, you won't be able to hold on for long. We control the economy. The empire will collapse without us. That is kind of the point of all of this. Look, I don't have time to... You must hear me out, Elend Venture said desperately. If you start your rebellion with chaos and bloodshed, you'll lose it. I've studied these things. I know what I'm talking about. When the momentum of your initial conflict runs out, the people will start looking for other things to destroy. They'll turn on themselves. You must keep control of your armies. What do you think?
He's trying to get all the information out as quick as he can, efficiently as he can. And yeah, in terms of the just going back to Doxon's brain, I love that he's like, I don't have time for this. And he's like, wait a second, this works. Okay, let's figure out. And he's trying to figure out how he's going to leverage this and get a truce. And then here's Elend. I come to offer you a truce. Like, I love that. I love the comedic nature of that. It's just,
there's a part of it which is like, why do I need to truce with you? And I'm not saying that's Doxon's POV, but it's just the nature of the situation. But the whole, that is kind of the point of all of this.
I love that too. It's like, duh, the empire will collapse. Yes.
Elend thinks that this is a political party rising up to demand rights, and they're misguidedly going to kill everything.
No.
Elend does not consider that they are full on trying to overthrow the Lord Ruler.
Completely, yeah. Like, does he not pick? But he knows that the Lord Ruler is the enemy. He does, in fact, say it just now. But yeah, he is. He's still. He's not viewing it as, listen, this is still a noble Scar thing as well. Like it is about, like, yeah, cool. That they don't mind destroying the whole empire because they want to build their own one in its ashes, basically, and that they don't think it's gonna. They just think it's gonna be better. So, and you can't blame them for that. So yes, I agree. It is this kind of like, why do I need you? It's like, we don't need to keep you alive.
Right. But then there's this other element to it, which is that I think Elend is correct, essentially. They will be in a more powerful position if they can work with the nobility. So we're getting pragmatic character meets pragmatic character.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful and very quick. Like this is, we don't have time to sit and ponder this. They have this in this conversation that's really well structured, and we have the POV that gives us his thinking. So it's all very neat and tidy.
Yeah. Doxon was taken aback. Elend Venture was supposed to be a fool and a fop, but now he seemed so earnest. I'll help you. Leave the nobleman's keeps alone and focus your efforts on the ministry and the Lord Ruler. They're your real enemies. Well, yes, obviously. We already knew that, Elend. But, you're not our friend exactly.
Either, yeah.
Look, I'll pull our armies away from Keep Venture. There's probably no need to fight them now that I sent my soldiers to Keep Lakal. Pull your men away from all the nobility. They're not going to attack your flanks. They'll just hole up in their mansions and worry. He's probably right about that. We'll consider. Doxon trailed off, noticing that Elend wasn't paying attention to him anymore. Blasted hard man to have a conversation with. Elend was staring at Hammond, who had returned with a new sword. Elend frowned. Then his eyes opened wide. I know you. You were the one who rescued Lord Renault's servants from the executions. Elend turned back to Doxon, suddenly eager. Do you know Valette, then? She'll tell you to listen to me. Doxon shared a look with Ham. Oh, Brandon Sanderson did not need to write apprehensive to know that this was an apprehensive look. What? Elend asked. Valette, she went into the palace a few hours back. I'm sorry, lad. She's probably in the Lord Ruler's dungeons right now, assuming she's still alive. I was very frustrated that that's where that scene cut off, and I know now why, obviously. But I was like, oh.
It was very cinematic the way it cut off, because it's like immediately, yeah, look at you, Brandon. God damn.
It's all happening so fast.
Yeah, that's another thing. He's making sure it happens. Like, listen, we've had this much discussion. It helps us to accept the jumps that we can just imagine how things played out and make things feel a little less contrived, even though, what am I trying to say? Like, he doesn't spend time setting things up, too much time setting things up, but it pays off that he does that, because you can actually accept the jumps in the skips, the off-screen stuff a lot easier because it's quick.
Correct.
Yeah.
Carr tossed Vin back into her cell. She hit the ground hard and rolled, her loose undershirt twisting around her, her head knocking against the cell's back wall. The Inquisitor smiled, slamming the door. Thank you very much. You just helped us achieve something that has been a long time in coming. Vin glared up at him, the effects of the Lord Ruler's soothing weaker now. It is unfortunate that Bendal isn't here. He chased your brother for years, swearing that Tavidian had fathered a Ska half-breed. Poor Bendal. If only the Lord Ruler had left the survivor to us so that we could have had revenge. Oh, something about the brother?
I know, yeah, when we get to it, it's...
We didn't even mention the brother in the front loading.
Yeah, we did not. I said that some no moments. This is one of them.
Ah, excellent. Yes. Oh, Vin, and what she's about to learn.
Yeah. I was busy. I was on the momentum of the whole chapter, right? So I was just like, let's go. What's happening? And then this happened, and it hit me smack in the face.
Now, I believe we had a lot of conversations earlier on regarding what may or may not have happened with the brother. I think you and I both supposed at some point that they were constantly on the run because of something like this, and that he might have split off in order to protect her at some point. Do you remember us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
cool.
I'll tell you what. Let's get there, but I'll tell you why this hurts so much.
Okay. He looked over at her, shaking his spike-eyed head. Oh, well. He was vindicated in the end. The rest of us believed your brother, but Pendal, even then he wasn't convinced, and he found you in the end.
My brother? He sold me out?
Sold you out? He died promising us that you had starved to death years ago. He screamed it night and day beneath the hands of ministry torturers. It is particularly difficult to hold out against the pains of an inquisitor's torture, something you shall soon discover. He smiled. But first, let me show you something.
Okay. Hello? The way, this is just the way that he did it. The way that, I say he as in Brandon Sanderson, the way he just throws that out there. He died, blah, 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 blah. It's not like he died, full stop. It's, he died promising us that you had starved to death years ago. So he died saving you, is essentially what's happening.
That is how she should take it, yes.
Yeah.
He endured the worst kind of tortures and didn't give her up. That is such an expression of love for Vin.
Yeah. And strength, that he had strength, and it's just so heavy. And I was like, I knew that this was something hanging up in the air, and then just smacked me. Like, I was like, oh my God. The way that it was delivered I was just like, and of course, we never spoke about him being dead. I don't know why. We never just went, he died. I don't know. Maybe we did say like he died saving her or something, or he had to do something. But I don't know why we didn't just go, yeah, he's dead. We just kept him alive, very much so in our heads. I don't know why. I think it was like we even thought, oh, maybe there could be, he comes back kind of thing. And there we go. This is the redemption arc that we didn't want exactly. It's kind of, it's like Reen's voice is about all the negative one, but we were right in that he was doing this to protect her.
Well, the crazy thing is, I didn't even feel like I needed this right now. I thought the Reen stuff would be coming in the next book, and I would not at all have denigrated this book if this wasn't here. Mm-hmm. So this is a compliment, by the way. If it doesn't sound like it, this is like a big, whoa, surprise.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it because this comes in, all of this sort of is just going all around. Like, yeah, you didn't need it, but now you know you needed it because it's here. Okay? Yeah. That's what it's like. It's enjoyable that it is included, yeah.
There was also something about this interaction that felt a little bit like, do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Kind of a dynamic going on here.
Mm-hmm. It's
reference.
Yes, I know. I'll let you have it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, this is also part of his car, the Inquisitor's mind games to scare the crap out of her. It's like, oh, by the way, we killed your brother, and even then, we didn't really. Some of us didn't even believe him, so we might not even believe you when you tell us stuff. Just great emotional torture. It's like, I just told you that your brother died. That's great. Oh, and how he died. Think about it. Oh, he's evil. I hate him. Remember, I said that a K is a like critic, sure, whatever. We've got car here. Yes. So there you go. I'm scared of this one.
Excellent callback.
Mm-hmm.
Sold you out. He died promising us that you had starved to death years ago. He screamed it night and day beneath the hands of ministry torturers. It is particularly difficult to hold out against the pains of an inquisitor's torture, something you shall soon discover. But first, let me show you something. A group of guards dragged a naked, bound figure into the room. Bruised and bleeding, the man stumbled to the stone floor as they pushed him into the cell beside Vin's.
Sazed!
The terraceman lay groggily as the soldiers tied his hands and feet to a small metal ring set into the stone floor. What did you think of that, by the way, Kitteh?
I was, the pace of it all was upon me. I'd just been hit with this, Reen's dead, and I'm just like, oh god, I'm glad I was so like when this person appears, I didn't know it, so thank goodness she goes Sazed, because I was like, oh, okay. So I was bewildered. I did not have any sense of who this should be or anything because I was too busy reeling from the Reen revelation. So yeah, Sazed. I was worried. I'm like, okay, so yeah, this is where Sazed was. What did you make of it?
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He went last time. Why wouldn't he this time? Should have called it.
Yeah. But then you see, that's the pacing that makes you not have, like, so even though we're reading very slowly compared to how it's supposed to be read, right? Even the pacing when you're reading the chapter, like when the way we read, we still get the
urgency.
Yeah, we still get the benefits of the pacing. We get the urgency from it.
Yeah. He had been beaten so severely that he barely seemed conscious, and he was completely naked. Vin turned away from his nudity, but not before she saw the place between his legs, a simple empty scar where his manhood should have been.
All terracemen stewards are eunuchs.
That wound wasn't new, but the bruises, cuts, and scrapes were fresh. We found him sneaking into the palace after you. Apparently, he feared for your safety.
What have you done to him?
Oh, very little, so far. Now you may wonder why I spoke to you of your brother. Perhaps you think me a fool for admitting that your brother's mind snapped before we drew out his secret. But you see, I am not so much a fool that I will not admit a mistake. We should have drawn out your brother's torture, made him suffer longer. That was an error indeed. He smiled wickedly, nodding to Sazed. We won't make that mistake again, child. No. This time we're going to try a different tactic. We're going to let you watch us torture the terraceman. We're going to be very careful, making certain his pain is lasting and quite vibrant. When you tell us what we want to know, we'll stop. Vin shivered in horror.
No, please.
Oh, yes. Why don't you take some time to think about what we're going to do to him? The Lord Ruler has commanded my presence. I need to go and receive formal leadership of the ministry. We'll begin when I return. Classic torture tactics.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm coming just to let you sit with that for a little while. Sit with the death of your brother and what we're going to do to this man over here. Just have a good old... Oh. Also, just a little tiny reference, callback. We won't make that mistake again. I'm not so much a fool that I will not admit a mistake. Guess who was not admitting a mistake? The Lord Ruler earlier on. So there.
Yes.
I don't know. Just thinking about if I'd read this in quicker succession, I would have picked that up first time.
Good catch. Well spotted.
There we go.
He turned, black robes sweeping the ground. The guards followed, likely taking positions in the guard chamber just outside the room.
Oh, Sazed,
Vin said, sinking to her knees beside the bars of her cage. Now, mistress, Sazed said in a surprisingly lucid voice. What did we tell you about running around in your undergarments? Why, if Master Doxon were here, he would scold you for certain. Vin looked up, shocked. Sazed was smiling at her.
Sazed! You're awake?
Very awake. His calm, strong voice was a stark contrast to his bruised body.
I'm sorry, Sazed. Why did you follow me? You should have stayed back and let me be stupid on my own.
He turned a bruised head toward her, one eye swollen, but the other looking into her eyes. Mistress, I vowed to Master Kelsier that I would see to your safety. The oath of a terraceman is not something given lightly.
But you should have known you'd be captured.
Of course I knew, mistress. Why, how else was I going to get them to bring me to you?
Bring you to me?
Yes, mistress. There is one thing that the ministry and my own people have in common, I think. They both underestimate the things that we can accomplish. He closed his eyes, and then his body changed. It seemed to deflate, the muscles growing weak and scrawny, the flesh hanging loosely on his bones. So that's obviously feruchemying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, good to be able to see it, how it works. See it in practice. I also like how slow Vin is at this point in terms of she's like, "Oh, bring you to me." She hasn't put it all together yet because a lot's been going on. So it's quite authentic that she needs this all to be spelled out to her, including what her reaction to what's going on here. Like, I think she would be generally in a normal situation, she would be smart enough to figure out what's going on. But yeah, at the moment, it makes sense that she's a bit discombobulated.
Yes. And if we assume that it is feruchemy that will stop the Lord Ruler rather than allomancy, it is important for Vin to see it here so that she can make that connection, because she clearly didn't in the previous chapter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm loving how it all just places itself. It makes sense that she wouldn't be thinking all the, because we're frustrated that she wasn't thinking about feruchemy and things like that. Now it makes sense. We're getting things from the plot. It's efficient use of the plot. It's amazing. That's very, very neat. Beautiful.
Yes.
Sazed!
Vin cried out, pushing herself against the bars, trying to reach him.
It is all right, mistress,
he said in a faint, frighteningly weak voice.
I just need a moment to gather my strengths.
Gather my strength.
Vin lowered her hand, watching Sazed for a few minutes.
Could it be?
He looked so weak, as if his strength, his very muscles were being drawn away, and perhaps stored somewhere? Sazed's eyes snapped open, his body returned to normal, then his muscles continued to grow, becoming large and powerful, growing even bigger than Ham's. Sazed smiled at her from a head sitting atop a beefy, muscular neck. Then he easily snapped his bindings. He stood, a massive, inhumanly muscular man, so different from the lanky, quiet scholar she had known.
The Lord Ruler spoke of their strength in his logbook. He said the man Rashek lifted a boulder by himself and threw it out of their way. But they took all of your jewelry. Where did you hide the metal?
Sazed smiled, grabbing the bars separating the cages. I took a hint from you, mistress. I swallowed it. With that, he ripped the bars free. She ran into the cage, embracing him.
Thank you.
Of course, he said, gently pushing her aside, then slamming a massive palm against the door to his cell, breaking the lock, sending the door crashing open. Quickly now, mistress. We must get you to safety. The two guards who had thrown Sazed into the chamber appeared in the doorway a second later. They froze, staring up at the massive beast who stood in place of the weak man they had beaten. Sazed jumped forward, holding one of the bars from Vin's cage. His feruchemy, however, had obviously given him strength only, no speed. He stepped with a lumbering gait, and the guards dashed away, crying for help. Aw yeah, badass Sazed?
Yeah.
Fighting Sazed, Hulk Sazed?
I know, it's odd. I was just, like, the music in my head is going all exciting and stuff.
But, why didn't he get speed as well?
That's just not how it all works.
No, I mean, why couldn't he swallow a speed magnet as well?
Yeah,
magnet.
A speed magnet. Yes, it takes speed from everybody else.
Rephrase, why couldn't he swallow a feruchemical store that had speed in it too?
He doesn't have space. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
Stop criticizing him!
I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing. I'm lamenting. I'm not suggesting it be any different.
I stand Sazed.
So do I. He stepped with a lumbering gait, and the guards dashed away, crying for help. Come now, mistress. My strengths will not last long. The metal I swallowed wasn't large enough to hold much of a feruchemical charge. As he spoke, he began to shrink. Vin moved past him, scrambling out of the room. The guard chamber beyond was quite small, set with only a pair of chairs. Beneath one, she found a cloak rolled around one of the guards' evening meals, then shook the cloak free, tossing it to Sazed. "Thank you, mistress." She nodded, moving to the doorway and peeking out. The larger room outside was empty and had 2 hallways leading off it, one going right, one extending into the distance across from her. The wall to her left was lined with wooden trunks, and the center of the room held a large table. Vin shivered as she saw the dry blood and the set of sharp instruments lying in a row on the table's side.
This is where we'll both end up if we don't move quickly.
She froze mid-step as a group of soldiers appeared in the far hallway, led by one of the guards from before. Vin cursed quietly. She would have heard them earlier if she'd had tin. Vin glanced backward. Sazed was hobbling through the guard chamber. His ferochemical strength was gone, and the soldiers had obviously beaten him soundly before tossing him into the cell. He could barely walk. "Go, mistress! Run!"
You still have some things to learn about friendship, Vin.
Kelsier's voice whispered in her mind.
I hope someday you realize what they are. I can't leave him. I won't.
Okay, so that's the second opportunity in the chapter to leave.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Is she going to take the Doxon or okay, what is the most logical thing to do? Run away. Okay. No. That's you know, sometimes you don't do that because of friendship, because of hope, because of love. Mm-hmm.
No man left behind.
Yep.
And this is the culmination of her arc, right? This is everything that has been building forward to.
It's awesome.
It's
in the original sense, awesome. Because there's this moment there where she's just like, and she's gone straight to that moment of what Kelsier had said. She took that deeply when he said he was disappointed. Remember, we were like, oh, he's disappointed in her and all of that. And we knew that she would really feel that. And here it makes sense that it comes out. And she's like, no, I can't leave him. Absolutely not.
Exactly. Vin dashed toward the soldiers. She swiped a pair of torturing knives from the table, their bright polished steel glistening between her fingers. She jumped atop the table, then leapt off it toward the oncoming soldiers. She had no allomancy, but she flew true anyway, her months of practice helping despite her lack of medals. She slammed a knife into a surprised soldier's neck as she fell. She hit the ground harder than she had expected, but managed to scramble away from a second soldier who cursed and swung at her. The sword clanged against the stone behind her. Vin spun, slashing another soldier across the thighs. He stumbled back in pain.
Too many.
There were at least 24 of them. She tried to jump for a third soldier, but another man swung his quarterstaff, slamming the weapon into Vin's ribs. She grunted in pain, dropping her knife as she was thrown to the side. No pewter strengthened her against the fall, and she hit the hard stones with a crack, rolling to a dazed stop beside the wall. She struggled unsuccessfully to rise. To her side, she could barely make out Sazed collapsing as his body grew suddenly weak. He was trying to store up strength again. He wouldn't have enough time. The soldiers would be on him soon.
At least I tried,
she thought as she heard another group of soldiers charging down the rightmost hallway.
At least I didn't abandon him. I think that's what Kelsier meant. Oh, right? Jinx. Yeah. Jinx. I owe you many cokes.
Indeed. She got it, but she still feels like she's trying to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like, that's it, right? I did good, Kelsier. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, like, what's happening? Oh.
Yeah. And she hears the other soldiers. She thinks that's it.
Yeah, she's like, I mean, she's trying to get up and it doesn't work. She's like, okay, well, I'm dead. And that is a reasonable thing to think about at that point. And she's like, and she's happy or unhappy. Like, she's satisfied that she tried. She would rather do that than go and live and be like, oh, that was a stupid thing to do. Her immediate thought is, hey, I did it. I did the thing. I tried.
Content.
I didn't leave him. Yes, exactly.
Valette! A familiar voice cried. Vin looked up in shock as Elend and 6 soldiers burst into the room. Elend wore a nobleman's suit, a little ill-fitting, and carrying a dueling cane.
Elend?
Are you all right? He said with concern, stepping toward her. Then he noticed the ministry soldiers. They seemed a bit confused to be confronted by a nobleman, but they still had superior numbers. I'm taking this girl with me, Elend said. His words were brave, but he was obviously no soldier. He carried only a nobleman's dueling cane as a weapon, and he wore no armor. 5 of the men with him wore Venture Red, men from Elend's keep. One, however, the one who had been leading them as they charged into the room, wore a palace guard's uniform. Vin realized that she vaguely recognized him. His uniform jacket was missing the symbol on its shoulder.
The man from before. The one I convinced to change sides.
The lead ministry soldier apparently made his decision. He waved curtly, ignoring Elend's command, and the soldiers began to edge around the room, moving to surround Elend's band. Villette, you have to go! Come, mistress.
We can't abandon them.
We have to.
But you came for me. We have to do the same for Elend.
Sazed shook his head. That was different, child. I knew I had a chance to save you. You cannot help here. There is beauty in compassion, but one must learn wisdom too. So that's our third opportunity for what Vin might call not abandoning someone.
Yeah.
Or betraying someone.
Well, it's sorry, you said Vin's third opportunity. It's what's
not
the third
Vin's
opportunity?
Third opportunity. Yeah. The third
in the
opportunity
chapter.
In the chapter. Because we had Doxon's opportunity or topic of going for Vin. And then we had Vin going back for Sazed. And now we have Vin going back for Elend.
Yeah.
So that's 3 different going backs in this chapter.
And this could have been here's a lesson for you, Vin. You can't always save everybody, and because you must learn wisdom too. And then she has to run and take this painful lesson going forward. But she has a choice here, and she makes a different choice.
And that is a wonderful Sazed line. There's beauty and compassion, but one must learn wisdom too.
She's like, yeah, no, but I don't want to stay. I don't want to live just wise. Like, I would actually rather fight for. I would rather die fighting, basically, which seemed pretty good to me.
It's crush-based growth.
Yeah, oopsie, it is. But you know what? She had done this growth.
Yeah, she saved Sazed, so
first, so it's earned, absolutely.
Yeah. She allowed herself to be pulled to her feet. Elend's soldiers obediently moving to block off the ministry soldiers. Elend stood at their front, obviously determined to fight.
There has to be another way. There has to.
And then she saw it, sitting discarded in one of the trunks along the wall, a familiar strip of gray cloth, one single tassel hanging over the trunk's side. She pulled free of Sazed as the ministry soldiers attacked. Elend cried out behind her, and weapons rang. Vin threw the top pieces of cloth, her trousers and shirt, out of the trunk, and there, at the bottom, lay her mist cloak. She closed her eyes and reached into the side cloak pocket. Her fingers found a single glass vial, cork still in place. She pulled the vial out, spinning toward the bottle. The ministry soldiers had retreated slightly. 2 of their members lay wounded on the floor, but 3 of Elend's men were down. The small size of the room had fortunately kept Elend's men from being surrounded at first. Elend stood, sweating, a cut in his arm, his dueling cane cracked and splintered. He grabbed the sword from the man he had felled, holding the weapon in unpracticed hands, staring down a much larger force. I was wrong about that one, mistress. I apologize. What did you think of that one?
It's like, look, we're in a battle, so it's like, thanks for that. It's very cinematic, you know.
It's a little bit of MCU humor going on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's exactly how you should characterize it.
A little stylized.
Yes, it was. It was just like, look, we're in the middle of battle, but wow, I was wrong about that one. So we have time to hear about that. Look, it's good, and Vin's happy. Look, we get Vin smiling.
Vin smiled. Then she flipped the cork free from her vial and downed the metals in one gulp. And then I thought back to my paranoia from last chapter, hoping that they would work, knowing that they would work, but hoping they would work.
Yeah. I was expecting them to work because I was like, no, it's it's numbed, that whatever effect has worn off. But wait. In our previous chapter, yes, the thing was that, okay, first of all, you said no, you were paranoid that it takes the ability away completely, which you were like, nah, it's unlikely. But still, okay. But so that's gone. But my hypothesis was that it whatever she did temporarily numbs her to her metal stores. But this makes it seem like no, because if that numbness had dissipated, she would have had her metal stores. So it literally does just like burn away her metals. She had no metals in her. So my hypothesis disproved.
Wells of power exploded within her. Fires blazed, metals raging, and the strength returned to her weakened, tired body like a dawning sun.
In which case, I circled.
Dawning sun?
Mm-hmm.
Almost as if there's been a lot of talk of suns lately.
Mm-hmm. It was very, very satisfying. I liked it.
Yeah, it's expertly done.
Mm-hmm. Pains became trivial.
Yeah, I know. I was just appreciating the moment. Jeez.
Jeez.
Pains became trivial. Dizziness disappeared. The room became brighter. The stones more real beneath her toes. The soldiers attacked again, and Elend raised his sword in a determined but unhopeful posture. He seemed utterly shocked when Vin flew through the air over his head. She landed amid the soldiers, blasting outward with a steel push. The soldiers on either side smashed into the walls. One man swung a quarterstaff at her, and she slapped it away with a disdainful hand, then smashed a fist into his face, spinning his head back with a crack. She caught the quarterstaff as it fell, then spun, slamming it into the head of the soldier attacking Elend. The staff exploded, and she let it drop with the corpse. The soldiers at the back began to yell, turning and dashing away as she pushed two more groups of men into the walls. The final soldier left in the room turned, surprised, as Vin pulled his metal cap to her hands. She pushed it back at him, smashing it into his chest and anchoring herself from behind. The soldier flew down the hallway toward his fleeing companions, crashing into them. Whoa.
Very cool. Very
what
cool
a fight
stuff.
scene.
Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, so good.
Vin breathed out in excitement, standing with tense muscles amid the groaning men.
I can see how Kelsey would get addicted to this.
Follette? Elend asked, stupefied. Vin jumped up, grabbing him in a joyful embrace, hanging onto him tightly and burying her face in his shoulder.
You came back. You came back.
Yes, and I see that you're a Mistborn. That's rather interesting. You know, it's generally common courtesy to tell one's friends about things like that. Is it, Elend? Is it?
Yeah, Elend. I don't know.
Just because you go blabbing about your illegal books to every girl you see.
Yeah, exactly, Elend. Relax. Politician. Yeah.
And that was basically my reaction the first time I read it as well. So.
Sorry.
Well, yes. Follette, what happened to your clothes?
They're on the floor over there. Elend, how did you find me?
Your friend, one Master Doxon, told me that you'd been captured in the palace. And, well, this fine gentleman here, Captain Goradel, I believe is his name, happens to be a palace soldier, and he knew the way here. With his help, and as a nobleman of some rank, I was able to get into the building without much trouble, and then we heard screaming down this hallway, and, yes, Follette? Do you think you could go put your clothes on? This is kind of distracting. Now, one thing I noticed there, nice and important detail, is he learned their names.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Ah, very good. Very earnest thing. He is not just a
noblemen don't recognize faces.
Yeah.
But he learns their names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's absolutely normal for him. It's not like he tried very hard or whatever. It's just that's it. He's like, this is Goradel, and that's Master Doxon, and yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She smiled up at him.
You found me.
For all the good it did. It doesn't look like you needed our help very much. Actually, I think it did, because they would not have been able to have found her clothes and her medals without their distraction. So
exactly. I do need to let's have this conversation now. Okay, so one of the things that you could expect from, if this became a show and was being reviewed or something, people that hadn't read the books would be, oh my god, it's so woke because she saves the man. But I think maybe most people would also recognize that they saved each other. Do you see that? They both need each other. But one of the things here is that Vin's saving of Elend is completely earned. It's not out of nowhere. It's not Vin ex machina. It's she. We know she can fight like this. This is not that we've never seen this before and she's just pulled this out of her ass. She's absolutely capable of doing what she was doing. So I just wrote a huge earned at the top of this interaction.
I agree completely. I absolutely think that it's earned. And I think there are people who can be very trigger happy on the woke title nowadays. Not entirely unearned.
That use, yes.
That use. But here it is earned. And as I had mentioned, she wouldn't have been able to get to her medals without Elend. And as you said, they saved each other. And the effort counts for a tremendous amount. And I didn't mention it earlier, but I did in my mind have a very strong image of Elend standing up there in that hopeless but determined pose against the rest of the guards. That was very specific in my mind, at least. So
yeah, that was the moment that Sazed was like, I was wrong about him. Like, that is the moment. Could you see this is what Ernest, his name is not Ernest, that this is what Elend is made of.
The importance of saving.
Of saving Ernest. No, but another thing is that's why I wanted to talk about this, not because, oh no, I need to cover for whatever commentary comes out for a show or something. It's actually, no, I want to point out when it's done properly. Look how it's earned. Look why it's a good example, because they saved each other and because they helped each other. This just wouldn't have happened with the way it did, without both of them being who they are. Both of them got to shine in these moments. So
yes, and she was not filling the role of a Deus Ex Machina. She was not exhibiting anything that she hasn't already exhibited earlier in the story. And we know firsthand how hard she trained for those abilities and how earned those abilities are.
Yeah, exactly. And we know how powerful she is. She's actually really, really strong for as a Mistborn. So yeah, it's all earned, and I just thought I thought it was good to point that out. And then, I mean, she does point it out by going, she says, that doesn't matter. You came back. No one else has ever come back before. Like, she's busy with that. That is what she's doing. She's busy being her character and feeling her character's feelings. She's not busy there going, oh, I'm a girl boss and all of this. It's beautiful. This is done well. Here's a good female protagonist. Go and read it.
And there is tremendous vulnerability in this exchange as well.
Exactly.
And there are always exceptions to rules, but generally with your girl boss type, there's that faux masculine. We cannot show any vulnerability. So to have it here really elevates the scene as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is where they would make a change if this Netflix was doing this, that's what I'm saying as well. But hey, don't let that ruin it. I'm sorry I brought that part in, but no, this is just enjoy this skillfully done thing.
She smiled up at him.
You found me.
For all the good it did, it doesn't look like you needed our help very much.
That doesn't matter. You came back. No one else has ever come back before.
Vin, what did Sazed just do for a second time?
Sazed's just standing there like, Hello? But look, Sazed never left. No, listen. Come on. I'm going to translate the womanness of this.
Okay.
Sazed never left her, okay? I mean, he did. She did feel left behind, like before, because he was going to go to Terrace Land or whatever. So, yes, he did leave her in that sense, but then she left him. See? So she feels like she has, somebody who's left has never come back before. He had left properly, gone. Goodbye.
Okay.
I'm translating, okay? I got you, Vin.
Heard. Elend looked down at her, frowning slightly. Sazed approached, carrying Vin's clothing and cloak. Mistress, we need to leave. Elend nodded. It's not safe anywhere in the city. The Ska are rebelling. But, you probably already knew that. Vin nodded, finally letting go of him.
I helped start it. But you're right about the danger. Go with Sazed. He's known by many of the rebel leaders. They won't hurt you as long as he vouches for you.
And of course, right there, she's gonna do something.
She's got other stuff on her mind. She's like, okay, Elend's good. That's cool. Thanks for that. Cool. Get yourself to safety. It's like, whoa. We know what she's up to.
Yes, but I'm already wondering in my mind, what does she have planned?
Yeah, I have no idea. I just know that it's something.
We don't get that answer in this chapter. And this is where I start wondering, what does she have planned? And I was so frustrated. And it's not a frustration with the book, because under normal circumstances, you can go right to the next chapter and find out. It's just our unique limitation. But it's like, oh, what? What have you figured out?
Exactly.
Elend and Sazed both frowned as Vin pulled on her trousers. In the pocket, she found her mother's earring. She put it back on.
Circled!
Oh. Circled? Go on.
Her mother's earring. I was like, how does this feature in the plan? I mean, this was specifically brought here. We have to note it. Brandon's like, hey, you know this thing? Look at it. So that helps us go, what is the plan? And then I started thinking of your theories about what the earring is.
Yep. Oh, also, quick callback to all of the Reen stuff. Obviously, so much has happened between the start of this chapter and now, but she hasn't had any thoughts about Reen since then.
Yeah, she got no time.
Yep. Go with Sazed? But what about you? Vin pulled on her loose overshirt, then she glanced upward, sensing through the stone, feeling him up above. He was there, too powerful. Now having faced him directly, she was certain of his strength. The Ska Rebellion was doomed as long as he lived.
I have another task, Elend,
she said, taking the mist cloak from Sazed. You think you can defeat him, mistress?
I have to try. The 11th metal worked, Saz. I saw something. Kelsia was convinced it would provide the secret.
But the Lord Ruler, mistress.
Kelsia died to start this rebellion. I have to see that it succeeds. This is my part, Sazed. Kelsia didn't know what it was, but I do. I have to stop the Lord Ruler.
The Lord Ruler? No, Valette, he's immortal. Vin reached over, grabbing Elend's head and pulling him down to kiss her.
Elend, your family delivered the Atium to the Lord Ruler. Do you know where he keeps it?
So you're just going to go straight into that without commenting on the kiss?
Yes. That's what she did. She's like, listen, we're going. I've got plans, okay? Like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. She was the same. She's like, I did my kiss or whatever. She's not going to be like, oh, Elend, I love you. She's like, hey, Elend, listen here. Okay, focus. Okay? So, forget that I just kissed you, but cool. The Atium, go to the Atium, find it, right? You're going to need it. So she's all plans. It's good girl. Good focus.
And that's a fantastic way of actually achieving them getting the Atium, which obviously we're all hoping for, since the heist from the very beginning was about getting the Atium.
Yeah. But also remember, we were worried about how having no Atium would affect this theoretical eternal battle with the deepness, all of that.
Richest kingdom in all of the dominances.
Yeah. Don't forget about the atium. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, then they think they need the atium for a certain reason. But I don't know. There might be another reason. Who knows?
Yes.
Elend, your family delivered the atium to the Lord Ruler. Do you know where he keeps it?
Yes. He keeps the beads in a treasury building east of here, but...
You have to get that atium, Elend. The new government is going to need that wealth and power if it's going to keep from getting conquered by the first nobleman who can raise an army.
No, Valette, I have to get you to safety. She smiled at him, then turned to Sazed. The terraceman nodded to her.
Not going to tell me not to go?
No, I fear that you are right, mistress. If the Lord Ruler is not defeated, well, I will not stop you. However, I will bid you good luck. I will come to help you once I see young Wencher to safety. Vin nodded, smiled at the apprehensive Elend, then looked up toward the dark force waiting above, pulsing with a tired depression. She burned copper, pushing aside the Lord Ruler's soothing. Valette. She turned back to him.
Don't worry. I think I know how to kill him.
Bum, bum, bum.
Indeed. And
What?
also yeah. Look, we had this excitement when she initially went to Critic Shaw. We're like, oh, cool, she's going to go and do it. We had that, okay? And it didn't go so well. Now we're going to have it again, but she's thought about it a bit more.
But what have you figured out, Vin? What do you know that we don't?
Don't you want to run it past us?
Or don't you want to let them know, hey, by the way, the 11th medal, it's a gold thing. Also, there's a 12th medal. Yeah,
I'm about to die, probably. So maybe that's just, yes, let's be a bit practical. Channel some Doxon, okay? And just understand that, okay, this is how, just be a bit more organized with your suicidal mission. That's all I'm saying. I think that's all we're saying here.
Yes.
Because it's like, yes, let's go and let Vin die with the knowledge that she has. Obviously, they don't know. They're not going to be able to ask her questions like, hey, did you learn anything before you go and die? Like, but I would want to ask. Obviously, this conversation could have continued after this. It makes sense that sometimes happens. But of course, Brandon Sanderson's just like, no, you can't have it. Bye. Yeah, I guess
but think
the rule
of how
cool.
funny. Rule of cool, but think of how funny it would be if, like, she walks to the door, she turns around, she says, by the way, there are 2 more medals, and dude's a ferrochemist. Okay, bye, and then just walks out, leaving the 2 in shock.
Yeah, that would have been. Listen, I would have written it that way, expertly. Very nice and clunky, and just hey, comedic. Listen, we had MCU humor in this chapter. Can't we at least have that? Come on.
We're kidding. Sneaky. It's fine as it is.
Yeah, sneaky Sanderson. He did the rule of cool. He was like, bam, 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 yeah, pew. Like, if I parodied this, like if I had to make memes of it, it would be like her with finger guns going, see you guys later. Yeah. And so this all is lost, Dorkus.
Yeah, I don't think that Vin and Spook's gonna be a thing anymore after this.
Look, I don't know if Elend's gonna live longer than this, but who knows? That's true. Yeah. I mean, he's got, everybody can die anytime soon, but again, just stop with the George R.R. Martin chins here. It's fine. It's fine. He's gonna live. It's fine.
He's gonna live.
Mm-hmm. And Vin has gone through enough loss. Thank you. Okay? Cool.
Yeah, let her just have this win. Let her dream guy, first crush ever, just work out.
Yes, okay? They're going to be married. That is it. She's going to land up with him. So yes, all is lost for Spook.
I hate the name Vin Venture.
Vin Venture.
She
would never take his name. Should be Vin Kelsia. She should use Kelsia's first name as her surname or something.
But she could be a superhero. Vin Venture.
Yeah, she really could. I wonder if that's on purpose. I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, all hope is lost. Sorry that they kissed, therefore they're married.
Yeah, that's how it
mhm.
works.
That is how it works, yeah.
Look, I
Yeah.
made a lot of jokes this chapisode, but in seriousness, this was another fantastic chapter.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliantly done and so neat and tidy. So much payoff, so much character work. I love it.
Yep.
And
Adrenaline.
Yes, great fight scene. Earned. All of it just so earned. Pow. This is a great chapter. I enjoyed it.
Me too. So 2 quick, I think, housekeeping things.
Mm-hmm.
We have one more chapter, 38, and then the epilogue.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. We're just at the end, and we've said it before, so this shouldn't be a surprise for anyone. We are going to do a blind read of the epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
That means that Kitteh and I only have one more recording session to finish this book.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. I believe the both of us intend to continue straight on to the second books. There's a nice buffer now from all of the blind reads we've done between when something airs and when we record it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get straight into the next one, so
we're going for it.
Excellent. Thanks everyone for sticking with us this far.
And if you've come this far and you are not subscribed and you have not liked this video, what is wrong with you? Do so now.
Yeah. Also, subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. She's got a fantastic channel where she does diagram streams and panel shows and the occasional gaming stream.
Come on in.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.